Okay, gazebo is here. The instructions. Hey, buddy. Hey. How you doing? Yeah, it's a good boy. By about 9 o'clock last night, we had up the exterior of the gazebo. We started probably about 7, so that's about 2 hours worth of work. A little bit of playing around. Some interesting pieces to note. We did have on this panel here, it was kind of dented in. I had to reef to get this bolt to connect. I don't know if you can see it there. No, there. You see the metal is kind of busted. That got dropped just on the wood here, and the metal broke. So it's kind of weird. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, we've got basically the base there. We'll kind of bolt it down later once we have the roof on. We're going to start on that shortly. Hopefully that's just a couple hours, and then we'll be done, and we'll just kind of reconfigure. And there's a couple places on the deck I'll have to touch up the paint again. I did get the second coat, but there's a couple places where I've got some marks and dings and stuff as we move this around. So, but that's as expected. Just got back from the dentist, so got a cleaning done, my 6 month. So that's all there. Yeah, so I'm gonna have some Advil to deal with the scraping of the teeth and the vibration in the head. And then I'm gonna have some breakfast and we'll get started. Guess I'll also mention that I haven't been really, I've been time-lapsing the recording and the building of the gazebo, but majority of that, I'm not going step-by-step unboxing and build video. Sojag, the manufacturer, has a really good installation video. I'll link that in the description. But yeah, that one's built pretty darn good. But then also I'll kind of mention, like, a lot of the metal's not super strong. You can definitely tell from the old to the new gazebo frame. Like, the old gazebo frame is same manufacturer, but definitely see from the old to the new where some of the materials are poorer quality. You can see where they've made some design decisions to fix what were problem areas on the old ones. So they've made engineering improvements, but some of the materials are maybe less than what they were. So we definitely see that. Yeah. So one big recommendation is don't be using power tools to kind of wrench everything down, because a bunch of I popped 1 or 2 screw heads trying to do that yesterday. Just trying to use a drill to screw a couple screws down, and yeah, I reverted to standard, just a manual screwdriver instead, because I just couldn't trust some of the metal could handle it. Once it's all together, it's all be perfectly fine, but it just, yeah, some issues there. a 10 by 14 gazebo in before. This is now a 10 by 16, basically a 12.5 by 16 foot deck. And yeah, so it covers the whole width pretty much. The roof does, at least. Lots of nice things about this metal roof. It's not going to have the same issues with the hail putting holes in the polycarbonate. There are a few issues with installing and a little bit of manufacturing issues that I'll get in that in a minute, but yeah, that's looking not too bad. Really quite nice. Nice screens on there. The screens are kind of a PVC coated screen, so nice and thick. They're not going to rip in the first summer, hopefully. It was kind of cramped in here before, the old one. The posts were further in its footprint, so the 10 by 14 was like furthest extent of the roof. But the legs were further in that extent than what these are, so kind of nice. Lots of extra space, very open feeling. The roof line is much higher as well, so it's got a very big pavilion type feel, rather than just kind of the gazebo kind of thing. So it's very, very much more open, which is nice. And this, where you walk in underneath to come in, that is higher than on the other one as well. So it's when you sit down on the couch, you get a more unobstructed view out to the pool area. So it's kind of nice. These, I can't remember what these are. I'll have to put that in, what these were, but the packing on these was fantastic. We got them from Home Depot, and yeah, the packing in them was fantastic. The way, basically they had them all wedged in so that nothing could scrape each other. There was like a metal frame around the top of the box so the box couldn't get crushed. It was pretty phenomenal, actually. Pretty easy install too. And the nice thing was that it came with a spare bolt that helped fix a problem we had with the gazebo. So, problems with the gazebo. When we got going on it, initially it's pretty straightforward, lots of stuff. We did find very early that there's a lot of little screws and these kind of bolts that have to go in with the hex key, and then a few things with a Phillips head. But we've learned very quickly that you cannot use power drill. They were stripping like mad, even with my drill on the lowest settings, and trying to prevent torquing out, but it wouldn't work. So we had to resort to basically a handheld and a ratcheting screwdriver to do a bunch of that. So that's just it's not necessarily something wrong with it, except for maybe the material, speaks to a little bit of the materials, but it also, yeah, it's way just more of a, hey, this is what you gotta do. A couple other things. You can see that bolt there does not match that. Does not match that. That's because we found multiples. Will that focus on this? These little guys here. Yeah, there we go. These little guys here that are in the aluminum framing. We had 4 of them pull out in total. Or 3 of them pull out in total. So that one there and that one there, and then we couldn't get them back in and they wouldn't stick. It basically pulled out of the metal. So those bolts are kind of threaded in the hole. They're a much bigger thread, much stronger bolt, kind of holding it all together. So that was unfortunate that occurred. So that's something to watch for when you try and torque these down. Now, this may have been a problem at the factory or the person working that particular day, because on this bar that goes top to bottom, we had 2 pull out. So one at the top there also pulled out. That one we were able to get back in, get it to catch mostly. So that wasn't great. Over here, even though everything lined up beautifully, we got all the screws in nicely, pretty much all the way around the roof, we couldn't get them threaded in there. It's like the bolts weren't long enough, something wasn't quite lined up, holes or something. So there we ended up having to leave one of the holes open, and we basically couldn't put a bolt in. But that's where I line into these chairs, where they had a couple spares and one of them was longer, of the right threading, and we got that one going. So that's good. So we were able to put that back together. Other issues we found, one of these posts was a little bit bent. There's an attachment right there. One of those was bent. We had to kind of reef-on it to get the crossbars, the supports on. See other things with some flimsiness and things like that, just speaking to the quality of the materials. I will say the engineering on it, they fixed a lot of problems. This is from Sojag. They fixed a lot of problems we had on our old one, our 11-year-old one, that were a problem. Like there's all these little slider clips that go in tracks. There's 2 tracks, inside, outside. Well, just back to back, they're all inside the gazebo. But
once you had the other one, the old one together, you couldn't add more or take any away or move anything like that. These ones are set up so that you can actually pop an end cap, slide some in, move them around. So that's good. And basically from our old one, I still had a bag of leftover clips. So we put a whole whack in here that weren't included. They have basically just enough to go with the screen that's included, but we put a bunch on the other track as well, so we can do things like hang our privacy curtains and things like that. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, overall, we're quite happy with how it looks, how it came out. But there was definitely some quality issues that we had to struggle with and fight with to get things going. So it's pretty good. Quite happy with it. Kind of nice. Quick walk out to the pool. So yeah, there we go. Quite happy.